I am going to compare the Tesla Model 3 to BMW 3 Series side by side, including the pricing. But before that, if you are interested in Tesla related and electric car related topics in general, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and also hit the notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Alright, only about a week ago, Tesla finally unveiled the rest of the Tesla Model 3 specification at their big event here in Fremont, California, and now we know what Model 3 is all about. Now before that, for more than a year, everybody and their uncle, all the YouTubers, all the vloggers were just, you know, they were set on comparing the Model 3 to the Chevy Bolt because they thought that because they're both electric cars and they pretty much have the same range, that they would be competitors. And I had a video about how ridiculous that was, and those two cars should never be in the same category because really you shouldn't be comparing the car specs, especially as it just comes to the range. Really, you should be comparing the car's audiences. And I did not believe and still do not believe that, generally speaking, the Chevy Bolt audience is anywhere near the Tesla Model 3 audience. What I thought, and you can see that in my video if you watch it, that the main competitor and the main audience for the Tesla Model 3 was going to be the BMW 3 Series. And guess what? Now that the specs are out, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon and everybody comparing them side by side because it's finally obvious. Well, I'm going to go ahead and compare them for you so you can see which one you prefer. I know which one I would prefer, but I still wanted to make sure that I do a fair comparison. And this is why I picked the regular Tesla Model 3, not the extended range, the regular one, with the 330i, which is sort of most popular and kind of middle of the road 3 Series, mainly because, well, you know, their sizes are pretty much the same, but they go 0 to 60 in about 5 and a change seconds, and their base prices are in their 30s, 35 versus 39, depends how you look at it as far as incentives are concerned and dealership discounts. So I thought that was the best two types of Model 3 and 3 Series to compare. It's still pretty tough, I have to say. I mean, we are comparing a gas car to an electric car, and there are a lot of differences and features, but this is your best bet. So I'm just going to jump right in. We're going to total everything up and compare the prices at the end of this video. But first, let's talk about the features. Now, let's talk about the features that BMW has that Model 3 does not. And obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is the heads-up display. A lot of people were disappointed that Model 3 was not going to have one. Turns out that they were never going to make it for us, and that's okay. I think a lot of people realize that it's not that big of a deal when you're looking at a speedometer. You would just have to look not here, but down here when you're looking at your speed. So I think people will get used to it, and I'm sure there will be aftermarket displays that will, you know, you will be able to install them and have your heads-up display. But to be fair, BMW obviously has one. Model 3 does not have one and probably will not. So advantage BMW here. Another thing is, and I'm sure this is because Tesla wanted to meet the base price of $35,000. If you want any color except for black, you will have to pay an extra $1,000. And also a lot of wheel designs will cost you also at least $1,000. So, but BMW, most of their colors and most of their wheel designs kind of come with the car. You can choose whatever you want and don't have to pay extra. So that's another advantage for BMW as far as the price is concerned. Now, on the other hand, BMW just does not have the autonomous driving hardware, and even their driver assist or whatever it's called is really not as advanced as the one that comes with the Model 3. Now, I don't want to compare those because we're not comparing those options at all, but the fact that Model 3 comes with the hardware that you can activate later or whenever you're buying, that obviously makes it a better car, because when software catches up or when even a second or third owner takes over, that person can still activate it and all the hardware is already going to be there. So that's a big deal, and Model 3 definitely wins in that category. Now, the other thing is that navigation, the rear backup camera, and the blind spot assist, it's all for additional price when it comes to BMW. So those are standard. in the Model 3. So that's and those run $4,000 to $5,000. So that's a big difference. Again, advantage Model 3. The another advantage for the Model 3 and really all Tesla cars is the over-the-air update, because basically this is the way how your car will actually get better over time, where if you just buy a regular car like a BMW 3 Series, you will have whatever you got when you bought the car. As you know, the over-the-air updates will make your car better in many different ways. Some of the features will get better. Your range will get better as they update the efficiency of the way the software regulates the batteries. You will get some new features just generally. You'll just wake up one morning and there will be a new feature in your car. And of course, user interface will be updated. And who knows, one day maybe there will be an app store as well. So huge advantage for Tesla Model 3 here. So the car will get better on its own, and that is a big deal. Now, of course, because the Model 3 is an electric car, you will also be saving money on gas. Even if you don't drive that much and your electricity prices are not that great, you should still be able to save, $50 to $100 a month. This is like the worst case scenario. So advantage obviously for an electric car. On top of that, even though the BMW usually has a free maintenance plan, after it expires, the maintenance is actually pretty costly with oil changes, tune-ups, the transmission oil flushes, and all of that stuff. It adds up and it's pretty expensive, where there is not much to maintain with an electric car like the Model 3. So yet another way to save money when you own an electric car. Now, another thing, then I wasn't even going to mention this, but if you're going to be driving a Tesla Model 3 in the next year or so, you will definitely be driving a more rare car, because we all see BMW 3 Series on the road a lot, especially here in Silicon Valley, and it's just you're going to be driving a more exotic car because there are less of them on the road. For most of the people, I'm assuming it doesn't matter, but I think some people will take pride in the fact they're driving a relatively rare car. So again, advantage Tesla. Now, I should also mention that BMW has announced that this fall they will be announcing that the BMW will be all electric. They will have an all electric version in about a year, and it will have a range they're shooting for about 250 miles. We'll see if that's going to turn out to be true. This video, I may have to redo this video in about a year, but I have doubts that they will have self-driving, autonomous driving really hardware installed. I doubt they will have the display and the user interface and the software like Model 3 has, just because it's not on their platform currently. So I'm going to reserve my judgment, but I will certainly remake this video when that comes around. But just heads up, to be fair, BMW is working on all electric 3 Series. All right, so now let's talk about pricing, right? The regular Model 3 starts at $35,000. The 330i starts at $39,000. Now that's a bit of a gap, but this is where it's hard to figure out even the base price, right? Because in the US right now, there is a $7,500 tax credit that you get for the Model 3. However, it's going to be phased out in the next couple of quarters, really, all the way to 25%. On top of that, some states like California have a rebate of $2,500. But in California now, you have to be making less than $150,000 to qualify. So it's kind of tough to tell how much money you're going to be getting back in different incentives for the Model 3, because it depends on which state you live in, which country you live in, but also when you are going to be getting your Model 3. So I'm going to just kind of average that out, because it can vary from $0 all the way to up to $12,000, I believe, in Canada in some provinces. So I'm just going to average it out to $5,000 in incentives, which will bring the base price to $30,000 for the Model 3. Now for the BMW, obviously a lot of times you get a discount from the MSRP. There are sales, clearance sales, July 4th sales, and you can get a pretty good discount on that car as well. So I'm going to give it about $4,000. I think that's a pretty good hefty discount for that car. So that brings that car base price to $35,000. Now, I'm going to add $2,000 for the Model 3 just to be safe, because the color of the car and the wheels, you're gonna end up spending a couple of grand on that. But I'm also going to add, for the 3 Series, I'm going to add about $4,000 for those options like the navigation system, backup camera, and a couple of other options that you have to buy at the additional cost. it adds up to about $5,000, but with the discounts, I'm gonna just say $4,000. So and that's how you will equal out all of the options. So we are really talking about 32,000, right? It was 35 minus 5, that's 30 plus 2 is 32 for the Model 3, and I believe I got 39 because we started with 39 and then we subtracted 4 for the discounts and then added 4 for the options. That keeps it at 39. So this is a $7,000 difference. Now, again, depending on how you buy your BMW and when and where you buy your Model 3, that can vary, but I cannot think of a scenario where your BMW will end up being cheaper. At best, it would be relatively the same price, but on average, you will pay more for the BMW, which I have to say I was surprised. When I started doing the research and crunching numbers, I'm actually surprised how much more expensive the BMW is. So to me, it's no-brainer. I would definitely pick the Tesla just because of the great features and the autonomous driving capability and just the whole technology and the fact that it's an electric car. I would definitely pick that one. But at the same time, and I'm going to make a separate video about this, that a lot of potential Model 3 owners may not necessarily be able to handle owning an electric car right now, because if you want to live in an apartment, you probably have no chance of charging your car overnight, and you're going to have to really suffer in trying to always chase the electricity and charging. And it just may not be worth it for you. And again, I will have a separate video about what you can do to make sure your Model 3 is charged at home and what options you have. So that's pretty much it. Now, of course, if you think I missed something or miscalculated, go ahead and put it in the comment section. And I also would love to hear which car you're going to be buying if you had a choice between these two. Again, please put your comments in the comment section. I'll try to reply to them if you have questions or comments, and of course I believe that the comments always enhance the video as the time goes by. Alright, that's it for me. Please go ahead and click on the subscribe button if you haven't already. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next week's episode.